Lore of the Old World, Armies of Legend Chapter 2, Demons of Chaos. The Demons of Chaos are the ultimate enemy of all mortal creatures. From their fortresses and palaces in the realm of chaos, they watch the world with envious eyes, waiting with unblinking patience for their chance to strike, to wreak destruction and dismay upon the world, and to claim souls in the name of their infernal masters. When that opportunity arises, they seize it greedily, spilling forth to rampage and slaughter in the name of the Chaos Gods. Bloodthirsters are not only the most deadliest of Khorne's demons, but perhaps the mightiest of all demonkind. A single such creature is a harbinger of bellowing death, destructive beyond measure, and lives only for slaughter, mayhem, and the ruination of all it encounters. It is the fury of battle given physical form, the unfettered primal rage of the world made flesh. Such should be expected of a beast whose liege lord is the god of bloodletting, slaughter, and murder. In one hand the bloodthirster carries an ensorcelled axe that hungers for blood and death. In the other, the demon wields a barbed lash with which it flays the flesh from the bones of its victims. Most feared among the vast hordes of bloodletters are the dread heralds of Khorne. Driven insane by their desperate need for slaughter, heralds of Khorne attack their foes with a wrath that eclipses even that of other bloodletters. They hack and cleave at their foes in bloody arcs, seeking to sever heads and cut off limbs in the name of their blood-hungry god. Juggernauts are massive, armoured creatures that are part demon, part ensorcelled steel and sinew. Fueled by a primordial rage that courses through their body, Juggernauts thunder towards the foe with near unstoppable momentum, kicking up sparks with each step of their iron-shod hooves as their brass snouts spew choking black stream into the air with every breath. Bloodletters form the main body of the blood god's armies. When loosed into the fray, they sprint from one enemy to another, swinging their infernal hellblades in long, sweeping cuts in order to hack their foes limb from limb. Before a foe's severed head has even touched the ground, their killer will have dashed off in search of more skulls to offer in tribute to Khorne. Fleshhounds are rapacious wolf-like demons, both reptilian and savagely canine in appearance. They are Khorne's blood hunters, powerful and swift in equal measure. The fleshhounds are valued above all others by the Lord of Skulls, lavished with ornate brass collars to protect them from the effects of hostile magic. The most favoured of all bloodletters are granted the privilege of becoming blood crushers. These brass-bound brutes are Khorne's shock cavalry, combining the deadly prowess of a frenzied bloodletter and the unstoppable crushing mass of a juggernaut of Khorne. When the Lord of Skulls' mighty legions march to war, bellowing hordes of blood crushers stampede across the battlefield, trampling Khorne's foes into a bloody smear. As soon as battle commences, blood crushers relentlessly hurl themselves at the strongest points of the enemy lines. Here they hack and slash their way through the strongest troops the foe can muster, honouring Khorne's name with savage joy for each enemy slain. A blood throne of Khorne is no mere bastion of command, as it might be amongst an army of mortal warriors. It is instead a mighty demon engine of armoured brass and bleached skulls. From atop their macabre chariot, the heralds of Khorne eagerly observe the field of battle, hunting for a skull worthy of claiming in the name of the blood god, prowling impatiently back and forth in anticipation of the coming slaughter. Should the herald riding the blood throne be truly favoured by Khorne, the throne becomes a locus of the blood god's power, bestowing his divine gifts upon nearby demons, lending his ferocity to their blows, and driving them into a maddened fury. Legend says that the mighty skull cannons were forged by Khorne's own hand, wrought into being in the hellish furnaces at the foot of his great throne, beat into shape upon a massive anvil and quenched in the blood of the slain. Fueled by the burning souls of warriors killed in the name of Khorne, these brass-clad war machines launch flaming skulls across the battlefield towards the foe, shattering bones and exploding in a blaze of white-hot flame. It is not only the powerful artillery blasts that make these machines so feared, for their churning wheels are not easily slowed, grinding anything caught beneath them into a crimson puddle of gore and splintered bone. The filth-riddled demons known as Great Unclean Ones, or Plague Lords, are the greater demons of Nurgle. These massive figures tower above their lesser kin, bloated with decay, disease, and all imaginable kinds of physical corruption. When roused to battle, Great Unclean Ones are a truly horrifying sight, bellowing with unbridled joy as they set about their foes with massive swords that drip with virulent corruption, or swinging monstrous plague-ridden flails in devastating arcs that crush and maim those in their path. If their physical onslaught were not enough to contend with, the corpulent demons are often incredibly potent magic users, able to summon forth vast torrents of contagion and plague with a simple gesture. Nurgle's rot affects all of his children differently. The longer a victim endures against the rot, the greater in the Plague Lord's standing the resulting demon shall be, and it is from amongst these hardy individuals that Nurgle chooses his heralds. These anointed champions march at the head of Nurgle's demonic legions, standing as living reminders that even the strongest and most able of folk cannot indefinitely defy disease. Oftentimes a swarm of Nurglings will carry a herald of Nurgle atop a palanquin, an ornate throne decorated with rotting finery. Though slow-moving, heralds of Nurgle are happy to ride into battle atop a palanquin, for their lofty perch allows them to easily survey the spread of contagion and disease as the battle unfolds. Plague Bearers are the rank and file of Nurgle's grotesque legions, crafted from the souls of mortals slain by Nurgle's rot. Plague Bearers endeavour to keep track of the diseases their master unleashes, an onerous duty that has earned them the title of Nurgle's tallymen. In battle, Plague Bearers lash out at the enemy with wicked blades covered in Nurgle's noxious gift. A beast of Nurgle is no less deadly than it is morbidly and irrefutably ugly. Its disgusting form is both sticky and slimy, as virulent ooze seeps from every disgusting pore. Yet, despite its appearance, the beast is an affectionate creature that behaves like an excitable oversized puppy, smothering its victims in a playfully terminal embrace. Within the rotting bowels of the Great Unclean Ones, tiny, malevolent demons are born of pus and contagion. Though the Nurglings usually pass their time swarming across the bloated form of their sire, on occasion they will take to the field in great chittering swarms, biting and scratching at their foes with infective teeth and bile-soaked claws. High-ranking plague bearers are known amongst the legions of the ruinous powers as plague drones. As Nurgle's favourites, these warriors have the privilege of riding into battle mounted upon rot flies, colossal demonic insects whose fetid appearance is so repugnant it leaves festering scars upon the minds of any mortals who gaze upon them. A keeper of secrets is a despoiler of purity, a corrupter of the faithful, and a harbinger of damnation and sin. It draws its power from the corruption of others, feasting upon excess, as mortals might sup on fine wine and feast upon exquisite foods. In combat, a keeper of secrets is a terrifying foe, for it delights in inflicting as much pain as possible upon its victims. With a graceful caress of its razor-edged claws, it can slash through armor and bone as easily as it parts flesh and muscle. No other demon, and few mortals, can hope to match the fluid grace of a keeper of secrets, its clawed limbs and deadly weapons moving like a blur as it dances across the battlefield. When not attending to Slaaneish's whimsical desires or plotting campaigns in their name, the chosen favourites of the Dark Prince are responsible for bringing news of courtly intrigue and political strife to their perverse god. Furnished with such knowledge, Slaanesh whispers into the easily corruptible minds of suspicious monarchs and jealous warlords. The demonic mounts, steeds of Slaanesh, are strange to behold, with long, sinuous bodies and skin tones that range from pastel yellows to pale blues and soft pinks. Stranger still is the long, whip-like tongue constantly flicking from the beast's maw, ensnaring its rider's opponents and lacing them with a hallucinogenic toxin. Shrouded in a hypnotic glamour that conceals the truth of their repulsive features behind a veil of beguiling beauty, the Demonettes are the most numerous of Slaaneish's servants. Dancing across the battlefield with otherworldly speed, Demonettes carve through their foes with claw-like hands, slicing through both flesh and armor with ease. Mounted atop swift-moving steeds, these Demonettes dart across the battlefield to launch sudden ambushes against unsuspecting prey. How the Seekers choose their targets is debated greatly amongst mortal demonologists, but however they do so, their quarry is doomed to face a painful death at the hands of Slaaneish's hunters. There is something deeply disturbing about how the fiends of Slaanesh move, twitching side to side in an erratic dance, yet still covering ground as swiftly as any warhorse. Those who stand close to the fiends find themselves falling under the beguiling influence of the heady musk that they exude, quickly losing the sensation of their muscles, and finding their senses dulled to all but the most intense stimulants. Only then will the fiends set about their prey, with their massive claws and envenomed tails. The Hell Flayers of Slaanesh are nightmarish chariots that are used in battle to carve bloody swathes through the enemy. Such is the devastation wrought by a Hellflayer, those in command of it swiftly descend into an impassioned frenzy of slaughter and bloodshed, overcome by the intoxicating feeling of sowing sheer terror and panic in their foes. As the straining steeds haul a Seeker chariot towards the enemy at full speed, the bladed wheels let off a metallic clatter and the axles screech in a disharmony akin to the wailing of tormented souls. When the chariot finally makes contact with the foe, the sound of blades carving through flesh is matched only by the excited shrieks and laughter of the Demonettes atop it. Some heralds of Slaanesh are permitted by their perverse master to ride into battle atop an exalted Seeker chariot, a freakish combination of both a Seeker chariot and a Hellflayer. From here, the herald can reach down and pluck victims from the chariot's razored maw. This is no act of kindness, however, for those chosen will soon beg and plead to be cast into the whirling blades below, preferring a sudden and swift death in the chariot's scything wheels if it would set them free of the herald's cruel affections. As might be expected of a creature that is not only born of pure magic and chaos, but is also bound to the will of the master of sorcery, a lord of change is a potent spellcaster. The very winds of magic seem bound to obey their every command, allowing them to summon swirly tempests of change and mutation, incinerating their foes with bolts of multicolored fire, or unravel the minds of an enemy spellcaster with little more than a gesture. In addition to their prodigious sorcerous talents, Lords of Change are also shrewd tacticians, combining their ability to read the future with their profound knowledge of warfare, earned through the study of countless battles over their immortal lifespans. When Tzeentch needs a servant of greater power, but does not wish to commit one of his Lords of Change, he will summon a herald to ensure his will is done. Though similar in appearance to the horrors that make up the bulk of the great Deceiver's armies, heralds are far more stable and have a far superior mastery of magic. Though screamers are swift and agile, their predatory instincts and willful nature make them dangerous mounts for a would-be rider. To combat this, heralds will transmute a screamer into a new form, a disc, making it a far safer mount from which to bombard Tzeentch's foes with magic and warp fire. Pink horrors are easily identified by their luminescent pink skin and their high-pitched squeals of joy and laughter. There is nothing that makes a pink horror happier than casting spells, hurling bolts of eldritch flame towards the enemy, and howling with delight at the destruction they bring. Those who are able to slay a pink horror find that the demons have one last trick to play before they depart to the realm of chaos. When slain, a pink horror exhales a final lunatic cackle before rapidly decomposing into an ectoplasmic blob of gyrating magic, which swiftly alters colour and divides into two blue horrors. Diminutive replicas of their parent demon, blue horrors are sullen and malicious, like evil-tempered children, and sneer and grumble their way through the battle. Flamers are capable of a fair turn of speed, expelling gaseous ichor through the fungoid skirt at their base to bound and leap across the ground with considerable mischievous gusto. A flamer uses its blazing limbs to hurl bolts of magical flame at the foe. This is not fire in its truest sense, but a roiling cloud of chaos energy. It does not burn, but warps reality. A flamer's victim might briefly feel invigorated before collapsing into a writhing puddle of flesh. Upon the death of blue horrors, flames erupt from the demonic ichor left in its wake, flames that burn with the foul stench of brimstone and dance with an unnatural vitality. When the winds of magic blow strong across a battlefield, those flames coalesce into swarming and malevolent brimstone horrors. Screamers are glimmering sky sharks that ride upon the winds of magic as a bird glides upon the breeze. They roam the skies, preying upon weaker creatures. Once the screamers catch their doomed prey, it is torn to pieces in an eye blink, the gossamer shreds of its soul stuff offered up as a gift to Tzeentch. The chariots of Tzeentch hurtle across the realm of chaos like incandescent meteors, bringing the great sorcerer's chosen emissaries to every corner of existence. It is not uncommon for a mischievous herald of Tzeentch to dream of purloining such a chariot from its true owner, one of Tzeentch's exalted flamers. With their prize secured, the herald is free to swoop and dive across the battlefield, cackling madly as they unleash their most fearsome sorceries. As they blaze through the heavens of the mortal world, the burning chariots of Tzeentch are commonly mistaken for comets, which are in turn interpreted as omens of great events and terrible wars. The exalted flamers who ride atop the burning chariots are able to channel magical flame to a far greater extent than their lesser brethren, and can conjure up great billowing sheets of warp magic, or hurl bolts of sorcerous change that make the very air sizzle with their passing. For their part, the discs and screamers that make up the bizarre chariot, and the blue horrors that crew them, are drawn to the exalted flamers, who exude tasty sorcery from every pore and wrinkle of their fungoid flesh. Demonhood is the ultimate goal for mortals who tread the path of chaos. It is the reward for dedication to chaos gods, bestowing immortality, unimaginable strength, and forbidden power. Many demon princes care little that the battlefield has changed. They continue to rampage and slaughter in their god's name just as they did in their previous lives. Others believe themselves to have escaped the role of pawn and have their eyes set upon becoming master of the realm of chaos. They do not realize that to transcend a level of the great game merely binds them ever more tightly into their eternal damnation. The crowns of the gods are not for mortals to steal. Furies are yowling shards of malevolent energy, chaos in its purest form. With little in the way of intelligence, Furies are utterly subservient to the whims of the dark gods, and shift in aspect and power as the balance of the pantheon alters. They are easily subjugated by other demons, whom they regard with a mix of dread and awe. Furies swarm at the edges of the battle, avoiding the thickest fighting if they can. Only when they sight a vulnerable victim do the Furies descend, a wailing mass from which there can be no escape. The only true defense against such an attack is to stand your ground, fending the demons off until the magic that binds them to the mortal plane fades away. When a demon's physical body is slain, it can surrender its true name to the Forge of Souls. The dark bargain thus sealed, the demon's crippled essence is bound to a mighty warp metal hulk. Thus, the demon reborn as a soul grinder. No two soul grinders are exactly the same, but all are bizarre to look upon. The transformation has a tendency to mimic the demon's inner desires and then distort them just enough so that even it finds the results loathsome. Yet the change also grants might far beyond that which a demon normally enjoys. In exchange for such might, a mortal might easily understand why a fatally wounded demon would be willing to surrender its very essence. Many are the gifts bestowed upon them in their demonhood, and many are the weapons and magics at their disposal to slay the enemies of chaos, to befuddle their minds and terrify their souls. But strange are the gifts of their dark masters, and perverse they may appear in the eyes of a mere mortal. It is by these gifts that the heralds of chaos and the demon princes are known. By their unique blessings does each stand as an individual from the next, a mighty warrior, a potent spellcaster, a lord of the demonic armies of the realm of chaos, a god among the tribes of the chaos wastes, and a herald of the world's coming destruction. A demon's sorcerous powers, indeed its entire being, are fixed at the moment of creation. Demons cannot grow, develop, or learn as mortals can. Those demons steeped in the mysteries of magic were created with that knowledge, and, though it rarely grows or diminishes, such power is a primal expression of the dark god's will. The demons of chaos wield many strange weapons of unnatural design and purpose. Forged in the hellish furnaces of the realm of chaos, these etheric weapons are made not simply from iron and fire, but blood, souls, and the raw stuff of chaos itself.